Today we are busting some of the biggest nutrition myths that wellness culture has poisoned us with. For years, I struggled with an eating disorder fueled by all the misinformation circulating on social media. It took me going back to school and becoming a dietitian to clear my mind of that toxic noise. So you don't have to do the same because in this video I will walk you through the truth behind some of the most common nutrition advice. Hi, I'm Marve Sedin. I'm a former lawyer turned dietitian specializing in sport nutrition and gut health. Here we dive into science-based tools to help you build a stronger body and mindset. Welcome. Before we jump into myth busting, I want to introduce you a concept which will help you better understand what I will be explaining later in the video. It's called food metrics. Stay with me, it's not complicated as it sounds. It's just a fancy way of saying whole foods are not just some of their individual nutrients. See, a lot of voices in media talk as if fruits are just fructose and eggs are just cholesterol. So that's oversimplifying nutrition. Modern research has moved beyond that reductionist view, showing how nutrients interact with each other and with our bodies to influence health outcomes. For example, milk, yogurt, and cheese contain similar nutrients, but how they are digested and their health effects are different. Why? Because first, foods are complex chemicals in nature. Second, their physical forms affect how we digest and absorb them. And third, after we eat the food, biochemical reactions in the body create unique health effects. Now let's see how this plays out as we bust some myths, starting with the first one. Dairy is bad for your health. This myth usually comes down to two fears: hormonal disruptions and lactose intolerance. Regarding hormones, there is no strong evidence that dairy causes hormonal imbalances. Some studies have shown a link between dairy and acne production due to its insulinogenic effects. However, these findings cannot be attributed to general population. This is something that needs to be personalized. If you notice that dairy worsens your acne, and this is valid for lactose intolerance, if you observe that dairy causes discomfort, then you might choose to cut back or decrease the amount. That said, years of research, including meta-analysis, show the positive health effects of dairy. Dairy is a nutritionally rich food, providing carbohydrates, high-quality protein, fat, minerals, vitamins, and some form like yogurt containing probiotics. And here's the most surprising part. Even though dairy contains some nutrients like saturated fat and sodium, generally considered as unhealthy, research shows that consuming various forms of dairy has either favorable or neutral effects on cardiometabolic health, including cardiovascular diseases and type 2 diabetes. This is thanks to dairy metrics, which shows how whole foods interact with our body rather than how individual nutrients behave in isolation. And this study suggests that dairy can support recovery and muscle production after resistance training. Do you still think dairy is bad for our health? Fruits are sugar and sugar is bad. We're gonna talk about the sugar part in a minute, but right now I'm gonna focus on the fruit part. And I assume you already know the answer. Say it. Yes, that's true. Food metrics. Fruits do contain sugar, specifically fructose, but they also deliver fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all of which benefit your health. Fiber in particular is key for gut health because gut microbiota feed on it to produce short-chain fatty acids, which play an important role on metabolism and immunity. So let's reframe. No, fruits are not just sugar. They contain sugar and they affect the health in many beneficial ways. Here's a quick note: apple juice, apple sauce, and whole apple all have different effects because the physical structure of food influences digestion and satiety. So my recommendation opt for whole food to get the full benefits whenever possible. Okay, now let's move on to third myth. Eggs raise cholesterol. Nutrition doesn't work like a math equation. Yes, eggs contain more cholesterol per gram, even more than red meat, but eating them doesn't translate to higher cholesterol. In fact, eggs tend to lower LDL bad cholesterol and raise HDL good cholesterol. Why? Because we need to look at the whole food and health outcomes, not just one nutrient. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Sugar is poison. This one really frustrates me. Your body literally runs on glucose, the end product of carbohydrate metabolism, the basic forms of sugar. Even if you don't eat carbs, your body converts protein and some extent fats into glucose to fuel itself. So no, sugar itself is not poison. The problem lies in overconsumption, especially in the absence of nutrient-dense, fiber-rich foods that help regulate appetite and metabolism. For example, when you eat chocolate, you get an energy without getting enough nutrients. And for this reason, it is easy to overdo it because your body cannot nourish with it. Versus when you eat an apple, you get in many nutrients, fibers, vitamins, antioxidants, and for this reason you feel more satisfied afterwards, which help prevent overconsumption. There's nothing wrong with enjoying foods you love here and there. The key is balance and context. Pairing treats with nutrient-dense sources can be a good strategy for satiety. Okay, another fear-mongering label, white flour is poison. Let's break it down. Wheat has 3 layers. The bran and germ are rich in fiber, vitamins, and minerals. The endosperm part of wheat, used in white flour, is mostly starch and very few nutrients. So when you eat white bread, you get an energy without much fiber or macronutrients, which means less filling and can cause crashes on blood sugar if you don't pair it with a source of protein, whole food fat, or fiber. So that doesn't mean it's poison by any means. In fact, white bread and rice can be a great source for athletes who need quick and easy to digest carbs, especially before training. But for most sedentary people, whole grains are better choices due to their fiber and micronutrient contents. Again, context, scenario, and population matter. Related to these poison messages, I want to touch on some mental aspects of the situation. Labeling food as poison, neither practical nor healthy. This kind of black or white thinking can harm your relationship with food and lead to guilt and disordered eating. How you think about food matters as much as what you eat. And no, I'm not just making this up. I've already explained the science behind mindset and nutrition in another video. If you haven't seen it yet, you can check out the link in the description. There are so many myths that I want to cover, but I don't want to overwhelm you, so I will let you digest everything we covered today. So stay tuned for part 2 where I will cover fat burning versus fat loss, superfoods, eating after 6 p.m. and more. If there's a myth or question you want me to cover, please comment down below. I will love to feature it in a future video. Until next time, I hope you give the nourishment you deserve to your mind, body, and soul. See you. Oh gosh, it's so hot here. Whew. If you hear any noise, sorry for that. I had to open the window because it is so hot here. I hope you guys can hear me very well.